Welcome to Healthcare Signals That Matter. With me, Meghana Arun Pillai, powered by Intent.Health. This week, the healthcare industry sent some remarkably clear signals. AI is rapidly becoming part of clinical decision making. GLP-1 drugs are entering a new phase of affordability and access challenges. Public health surveillance is becoming more predictive than reactive. The FDA continues pushing healthcare toward consumerization, and healthcare security increasingly extends beyond humans to animals, agriculture, and global disease monitoring. These are not isolated stories. They are signals shaping the future of healthcare. Let's dive in. Signal 1 of the week. AI is moving into the clinical workflow. This week may mark an important turning point for healthcare AI. Philips reported that AI is improving clinical accuracy for providers. At the same time, surveys found that the AI is saving clinicians time, but most healthcare professionals still lack formal AI training. Meanwhile, Takeda's AI-designed psoriasis drug outperformed a competing therapy from Bristol Myers in clinical studies. And the FDA is now reviewing AI tools designed to predict drug-induced liver damage. Signal: AI is no longer a back-office tool. It is directly moving into diagnosis, treatment decisions, drug development, and clinical workflows. But adoption now faces a new bottleneck: workforce readiness. Healthcare organizations that invest in AI training, not just AI tools, may gain the biggest advantage. Signal 2 of the week. GLP-1s are entering their reimbursement era. The GLP-1 story evolved significantly this week. A study suggested that the early pregnancy exposure to GLP-1 drugs should not immediately raise alarm. Research also suggested these therapies may have broader metabolic implications. But perhaps the most important development came from employers. Some US employers are now planning to drop coverage for GLP-1 obesity drugs due to rising costs. At the same time, Novo Nordisk continues fighting compounders producing weight loss drug copies. Signal: the next phase of the GLP-1 market is no longer about demand. It is about reimbursement, access, employer coverage, affordability, and intellectual property protection. The winners in obesity care may be those who can demonstrate long-term economic value, not just clinical outcomes. Signal 3 of the week. Public health is becoming predictive. Healthcare surveillance is becoming increasingly sophisticated. Experts announced plans to monitor wastewater during the FIFA World Cup to detect disease outbreaks early. This reflects a broader shift from reactive healthcare to predictive public health. Meanwhile, Ebola remained a dominant global health story. The US committed another $50 million toward Ebola response efforts. Gavi continued planning vaccine deployment while navigating new funding conditions. And a US doctor previously monitored for Ebola in Europe was safely released. Signal: healthcare is moving toward early detection systems that identify outbreaks before patients even arrive at hospitals. The future of public health may increasingly rely on environmental data, AI, and surveillance infrastructure. Signal 4 of the week. Health security now includes animal health. Another major healthcare signal this week came from animal health. The USDA confirmed additional screwworm cases in the United States. Federal preparedness efforts are now being tested as cases continue to rise. The FDA even issued emergency authorization for over-the-counter treatments for pets. Signal: the boundaries between human health, veterinary medicine, agriculture, and biosecurity are rapidly disappearing. Healthcare leaders should increasingly think in terms of One Health ecosystems. Disease threats rarely respect industry boundaries. Signal 5 of the week. The FDA is accelerating consumer healthcare. This week brought multiple FDA milestones. The FDA approved the first new sunscreen ingredient in decades. It cleared the first over-the-counter glucose monitor for children. Pfizer received approval for its pediatric bleeding disorder therapy. Sanofi secured approval for a type 1 diabetes treatment in children. Organon expanded use of an arthritis biosimilar. Signal: healthcare is steadily moving closer to consumers. Expect more of home diagnostics, over-the-counter technologies, consumer monitoring tools, pediatric innovations, and decentralized care models. Healthcare is increasingly becoming something people manage, not just receive. Signal 6 of the week. Drug pricing pressure is becoming structural. Drug pricing remained front and center this week. CMS proposed rules for future Medicaid drug price negotiations. Express Scripts challenged Tennessee prescription drug law. Employers continued re-evaluating coverage decisions, and biosimilars continue expanding into new therapeutic areas. Signal: drug pricing pressure is no longer episodic. It is becoming a permanent feature for healthcare economics. For pharmaceutical companies, future success may depend as much as on pricing strategy as scientific innovation. Signal 7 of the week. Capital continues flowing to healthcare innovation. Despite market volatility, healthcare capital remains strong. Johnson & Johnson announced $1 billion acquisition of Firefly Bio. GSK strengthened its oncology pipeline through an $11 billion new bulletin deal. Samsung invested $175 million into genomic company Element Biosciences. Parabilis increased its IPO target to more than $600 million. Cardigan pursued a valuation exceeding $1.4 billion. Signal: investors continue rewarding oncology, genomics, precision medicine, platform technologies, and specialty therapeutics. Healthcare remains one of the most attractive innovation sectors. Signal 8 of the week. Trust, regulation, and data governance are rising risks. Several stories this week highlighted growing operational risks. Novo Nordisk investigated a potential cyber incident and data breach. The FDA issued important alerts against drug manufactured at a facility in India. ICE Detention Center faced criticism over medical care and missing records. Questions also emerged around Dexcom sensor distribution and product handling. Signal: healthcare organizations are increasingly judged not only on clinical outcomes but on data governance, cybersecurity, quality systems, supply chain integrity, and transparency. Operational trust is becoming a competitive advantage. So, what are the healthcare signals that matter this week? AI is moving into clinical practice. GLP-1 are entering a reimbursement era. Public health is becoming predictive. Healthcare security now includes animal health. Consumer healthcare is accelerating. Drug pricing pressure is becoming permanent. Capital continues flowing toward innovation. And trust, cybersecurity, and operational excellence are becoming strategic priorities. But perhaps the biggest signal of all is this: healthcare is no longer simply treating diseases. It is building systems designed to predict, prevent, personalize, and continuously monitor health. Thank you for watching Healthcare Signals That Matter with me, Meghana Arun Pillai, powered by Intent.Health. We'll see you next week.